I mean, realistically, if I were to put, like, a random statistic on it, 80% of threesomes don't go well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, then that's just it, right? Like, they
Right?
they really do it is more so I don't know, is it fair to say when you think about a threesome.
What happens when a media personality and a sex therapist grab a mic? You get Spill the Tea, where the tea is hot, the truths are unfiltered, and things sometimes get downright steamy. From sex and relationships to life's messy, hilarious, and shocking realities, Will Nash and Maria Orrego aren't holding back. It's about to get deliciously messy.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too after a great weekend.
I cannot believe we are into November already. Like, this to me is just, like,
Mhm. I've
unreal, right? Like, it's that time of
already
year.
seen all the Christmas stuff up. I didn't tell you this, the shout out that I did for my best friend last week,
Mhm.
she for the Halloween and then 12 o'clock Christmas, this year she sent me a picture of Christmas things at 9:30 on Halloween. She already had started, kids were
Oh
in
my.
Christmas stuff was starting to come up. By the next morning, she already had full Christmas decor in her home.
You know what though? She's kind of a bit of a hero for that in my eyes. Like, I love that she did that. I love that she was like, okay, Halloween needs to get out, and it's November the 1st,
Yeah,
and it's time to decorate, put the Christmas tree up, get the Christmas music going. When the kids wake up, they're gonna be waking up to like a Christmas wonderland, essentially.
exactly. She is committed. I love that she is so committed to that. But Halloween is over. We're in November. We're heading into the like holiday random season. But I'm looking forward to continuing season 2 with you.
I know, and it's like we've been trying to really put it out there to people listening to the Spill the Tea podcast that, yeah, this season we're kind of hoping to get a little spicier, a little
Mhm.
saltier with some of our questions, and we've been putting some things on social media. I mean, I think by the time we actually put this episode out, it'll be almost a week since that heartbreaking loss with the Blue Jays over the weekend. Like, that was a tough weekend for a lot of people, right? I mean, I think if you're Canadian, a sports fan, or not even necessarily like a diehard fan, so many people, ourselves included, jumped on that bandwagon. Now, I always say that, but it's also like for me, like growing up just outside the GTA, I'm always going to be rooting on those sport like our local teams, even if I can't spit out statistics like some fans can. I'm just gonna be. You feel like we were coming together, right? Like, we were coming together for that. It didn't turn out exactly as we would have wanted it to, but it wasn't me playing. So I don't know. I can't
You
really
know
say
what
much
was
about that.
It was beautiful to watch an entire country come together behind, like, a sport and a team. I will say as someone that was born in South America, um, soccer is, like, our thing, and so I'm used to that kind of, like, cohesiveness when it comes to sports, but I did not know that Canada was actually capable of doing something so amazing and so beautiful. Well, I will say is that I loved waking up the next morning and seeing how many beautiful messages there were to the players, to the fans, to the families, coaches, the staff, because it was so wonderful to see such a beautiful team represent Canada. And I think everyone chose to go positive instead of negative, and I was so happy about that.
I'd like to say that's exactly what makes us Canadian. That's what makes us, Torontonians, right? And you're right. Like, being anyone who was raised in like Europe or surrounding areas like that, like soccer is their hockey, essentially, is what it works out as, or their football if you're in the US, right? And I think that's the thing. It's like, I feel like we got a taste of it. You might remember, like, I think pre-COVID, with the Toronto Raptors and the parade that followed everything there. Like, that's like the last time we really felt that energy. This was actually this I often have talked about this, right? Where it's like there's nothing quite like that energy that can bring people together and how it makes you feel. So I've really enjoyed just people's spirits or mentality to coming together. Hopefully it continues in this crazy world, but it was
I
great.
hope
It was
so.
really, really great. Yeah, it was.
I hope so. The funny thing is because I tend to always have my therapist hat on unless I force it off. There was a moment when the game ended and I like, when they like looked at all the fans and they were all sad and like a lot of people went with their friends, other people went with their partners, spouses, right? There was a moment that my therapist brain went, "Oh my gosh, all the people that thought they were going to get laid tonight are not getting laid
Mm.
tonight." Right? Like, everyone's going home sad and depressed and, like, not okay, and so the people that thought they would have, like, World Series winning sex were just all going home to, like, be sad together, and those people that, like, may have gotten those, like, 1,000 or $2,000 hotel rooms,
Oh my
that
god.
was quite literally my thought throughout the night. I'm like, "Oh, there's gonna be so many couples either fighting or, like, just sad all weekend, and it's not gonna be pretty." That was my
Back
thought.
it's back to back, right? Back to back, what's gonna happen there. But yeah, well, sorry about your loss. I didn't have anything happen to me on Saturday night anyways, so I'm not gonna feel that sorry for you. Cry me a river. But I mean, again, like it was, I guess I understand why you would think that way. I know you had posted something on our Instagram about sort of like almost like how people were feeling and how it can of course, because it's like not only do we get the Jay's loss, we also had the time change, which so we're recording this a couple of, I guess, a day or two after the time change. So it's
Mhm.
actually like today is one of the worst driving days of the year, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah, because it takes you about a day or 2 to fully, like, really react to that change. Like, studies have shown this, and there's, like so watch out if you're on the roads anytime, well, I mean, by the time people hear this or watch this, it'll pass, but just for future time changes, keep that in mind, right? It's one of those things where there's a lot of accidents because people are just it's darker, I guess, yeah, technically, it'll be darker around 5 o'clock this afternoon,
Ugh.
all those things, right? So,
I love how your radio host day information just came in super handy for all of us.
honestly, it's one of those things that, like, I don't even need to look up because I remember seeing this come up following the time change, and I think it's specifically this one. Specifically, I could be wrong. If you wanna check me on it, totally go for it. Send us a DM, but I believe it was the fall back one that there was a lot of, accidents. People are
Yeah.
just tired, right? People are even, like, last night I felt, at the end of my weekend, I was really tired too, and it's just kinda like especially because everybody was up so late and then, probably not sleeping in all that much because you look at the time, you're like, "Oh, it's super early," right?
Yeah, it's so true. It's such a weird thing that we keep changing time, and we can probably have an entire podcast conversation on just the time changes, but we are not here for that. You said, though, at the beginning, we are trying to do it things a little bit more spicy. We're trying to change things up. We're doing season 2 a bit different this time. So this time you're going to surprise me with a question, and I'm a little bit scared. So
You
what's the
should be. You should be afraid, Maria. Now, you know what? This is a question we have for today. Hey, Will and Maria, I want to spice things up. I've had threesomes before, but my partner has not. I want to ask, but I think that they might be offended. How do I tell them or bring this up in conversation without seeming weird? How do we tell them, Maria? You're the sex therapist.
Ooh, I love that question. I actually love the fact that they said, "How do I bring this up without offending my partner?" So
Right.
it's not about, like, how do I say this and not, like, seem like I want something different, but, like, how do I not offend my partner during this conversation? This is a very common conversation that couples have, surprisingly, because unfortunately, sex can become very personal, right? So when people think that someone else is attractive or they're into something different, or maybe, I don't know, your partner said that their like type is blondes and you're not a blonde, like things like that, right? That gets into people's heads and the insecurities come out. It is a hard question to navigate with a partner if you don't know if they're already open to it. So there's some relationships, like, like when you go on a first date, maybe not on a first date, but like on multiple dates, you're talking about your sexuality, you're talking about what you're interested in or what you would do. And some people do disclose that they'd be open to it, but I think if you're asking the question of whether or not they'll be offended, something's telling you that they could be, which means that I see that as like a little bit of a crack in the foundation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is if this person who sent us this DM and sent us this question is questioning the whole concept of being offended, maybe they're walking on eggshells a little bit with, I don't want
Yeah.
to say in the relationship because I don't know that much about it, but definitely about the concept of sexuality or openness with sexuality, sexual experiences, maybe trying different things within that relationship, which
Yeah.
okay, a part of me kinda hates that. Not that everyone has to engage in a threesome, but I always hate the idea of people being in a, I'm going to assume, a committed relationship, and being afraid to talk about these things because I feel like no matter what the issue is in your relationship, whether it's in the bedroom, outside of the bedroom, and all the things that come with relationships, I feel that you should at least be able to talk about it and not be in. Even if your partner's not interested in a threesome, like that's okay.
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't have to do a menage a trois. But I think that you should be able to feel confident enough in your relationship to bring up these issues without the fear of like, oh no, like they're gonna judge me for being attracted to another person or wanting to like enjoying the idea of bringing in another person, right? Even if that is just fantasy that never becomes a reality. Like I feel like we should all ideally be in a situation with someone that we're secure enough in a relationship that we can bring up these things that turn us on without the repercussion of, oh no, now that I've said this, are they going to question everything about us?
I love that you differentiated though between like being attracted to somebody else and then also just wanting to explore a fantasy, right? Because a lot of times threesomes aren't actually about like, oh, I'm attracted to your best friend or I'm attracted to this person. Most of the time when couples like and in my office talk about threesomes, it's about actually finding a third person. It's not like in movies where it's like, "Oh, my best friend is hot and I wanna, like, have sex with them," or, like, I want them to join, or, like, what you see in porn where it's like everyone's there and then they just no. Like, in reality, couples usually seek out a third person, right? And a lot of times we call them unicorns. Um, don't ask why, I don't know why they chose unicorns, but that's the word we're going with. Um but I do think that being able to explain to your partner that you have this fantasy and desire should always be safe, right? Because it can be anything. Like it can be any kink or fetish or sexual position or interest. Those fantasies should be something that you do talk about because it can not only spice things up in the relationship, but it can also add that vulnerability and that transparency that are important. And 50% of the time, they're not going to be interested, and that's okay. But I don't know, I feel like if couples can't decide on a restaurant, then they're probably not gonna be able to decide on a threesome.
Now, should this person bring it up though? Like that's the thing, right? Like and if they decide based on our information to go either way about it. If they decide to hold back on it, how could that affect the relationship if it affects the relationship later on down the line? And if they're not at a point where they can have that sort of a conversation, not the act, just a conversation with the person that they're with, is that a bit of a red flag? Or is that just respecting everyone's comfort level when it comes to openness of sexuality?
I think there's a lot of layers to this question, but I would say if the relationship is, like, close to, let's say, perfect in every other aspect, and having a threesome is just, like, a random thought you had one day, and you know your partner's not gonna go for it or your partner might be offended, then maybe it's not a great idea to bring it up. However, if this is something that is important to you and your sexuality and important to you as a human who is a sexual being, and your relationship is already walking on eggshells and your partner is also not interested in this, then that's a compatibility issue, right?
Yeah.
We might not be fully compatible with our partners sexually, and that's okay. There's a lot of areas where we're not gonna be fully compatible, but I think what I always say about sex is look at the rest of your relationship, and if it's just that you 2 aren't perfectly compatible sexually, but everything else works, then those conversations can still happen and that vulnerability can be opened up. But if everything seems to be not so great, then this is a bigger question than a threesome.
It's a good point. I mean, I think the question on the question too is, can you engage in a threesome with your long-term committed partner, and no matter what the outcome of that threesome, whether it's a one-time thing or whether it happens several times, can you come back together as two and work through all of that, whether it was really, really good, whether it wasn't for you and you found that out quickly, or is that sort of the beginning of the end? Because I think I would think that it would have to do a lot with, do you only want to be in a monogamous
Mhm.
one-on-one relationship, or are you open to more, right? And then where do you is there a meeting in the middle? Like, I guess there really isn't, right? Like, if you're in a relationship with someone, like, it's different if you're single and you wanna, you're into hooking up with people or multiple people at one time, like, that's all on you, just have fun and be safe, right? But I think that when you are talking about a committed relationship and bringing it in, there's lots of questions that come to play.
I think so. I love that question though of the fact that like can you survive it if it goes well or if it goes bad? Like what does that mean? I'm a huge proponent that couples can survive quite literally anything if both partners are willing to put the work in. And if, again, compatibility has a lot to do with that. But
Yeah.
if both partners are actually like capable of putting their own insecurities, trauma, bullshit aside
Yeah.
and actually heal those things and then come together as a couple, I think most couples can make it through. What I see though is the couples that don't put the effort in
Yeah.
and they either blame each other or they feel like the other person should be doing more and they're not choosing to do their own stuff. So, I mean, realistically, if I were to put like a random statistic on it, 80% of threesomes don't go well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, then that's just it, right? Like, they
Right?
they really do it is more so. I don't know. Is it fair to say, when you think about a threesome, and this is like for my single people, this is for my married people, this is for my dating people, that often it is more of a realized fantasy, honestly, like on your own, than it is when you're actually engaging in a threesome, because usually there could be some awkwardness there. Let's say that. There might be some awkwardness there, or all three of you may not be compatible sexually on that same level, or, two of you might be dancing really well, and then someone might have the half step in there.
Oh my God, I love that. I yes, 100%. I think that the delusion that pornography and even Hollywood has given us on
Mhm.
threesomes, is a delusion, right? Like because you have to think like all the things that we quote unquote like see on television or on our phones or whatever, they're all orchestrated, they're choreographed, right? So if you think about three humans and just like give yourself the example of like three people trying to coordinate dinner plans or
Oh my god.
carpooling. Like, if you can't do that, there's no way we're going to be able to coordinate a threesome properly. So, I think that the fantasy tends to be better than the actual act unless it is something that you've practiced
Yeah.
and communicated and had, in a way, choreographed beforehand. But I don't think everyone is always on the same level of engagement when it comes to threesomes. Again, though, I would say that this is for like, I would call like the newbies. If this is your
Mhm.
first time, then expect it to go oddly and then give yourself a chance to maybe try it again if you're willing. But I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people have those like positive experiences unless they're like 21 at a club
Yeah.
drinking, you know what I mean? Like that, like, yes, maybe that, like, everything fits perfectly into that scenario, but I don't
I
know.
feel like what you said there in that last bit, like, that was almost like your final thought, where you're like, "Yeah, you know what? Like, this is how it's gonna go." I think that if you're in a relationship with someone, I know for me, I think that if I was in a long-term committed relationship with someone, um, I think somewhere, somehow, before things were really settled in, I would like to think personally in terms of like sexual history, sexual fantasies, um, things of that nature would have for me, I would have liked to kind of establish that going into it so we know, are we in a committed one-on-one? Is there a potential for being open? Do you want to do it? Do you not want to do it? Do I want to do it? Do we not want to do it? I would like to have a lot of those questions answered before I've committed to somebody for more than just, casual dating. I think that if this topic has not come up, and maybe this is something that's new to you, maybe this is something that you had never really been open to before, but all of a sudden, hey, you're like, hey, I know you maybe spoke to someone else who engaged in a threesome, and you're like, I'm kind of curious. And like curiosity, I mean, you can't knock someone for being curious about something, especially when it comes to their sexuality or, their being. I think that you should still be able to have that conversation if it is something you're serious about or interested in, but also prepare that things may not go the way that you want them to. And then you have to be ready to figure out, are you okay with that? Where do things weigh? Is your relationship more important than the idea of you trying a threesome for the first time? Or are you kind of in that point where you're like, well, listen, if they're not going to let me express myself in that way, then maybe that's something that you need to think about.
I agree. I think what I would add to that too is that a lot of people go from like 0 to 60 or at least try to.
Mhm.
I think threesomes we're going to put it at the 60 mark, right? Like
Right.
if your sexual relationship is at a point where it's like incredibly boring or routine or you haven't really tried anything else, I would say like baby steps. We try like small things first before we
Yeah.
dive into the deep end, right? Because I think that in that case we're headed towards like destroying the relationship because if we can't have a conversation about maybe trying a new position or a new like place in the home or role playing like we were talking about last week or I don't know anything a little bit closer to the vanilla side, then I don't think we should be jumping into threesomes. If you've already tried a spectrum of different things and you know that your relationship is comfortable with all that type of stuff, then yeah, 100% jump into it knowing and having that conversation. But if you're both very new to this, I would say let's try a new position and maybe like a new place in the house before we try a threesome.
My last sip with this is having a threesome is not going to fix a relationship that you are in.
No, oh my god, no. Yes, can we put that somewhere on a banner? None of these things will help your relationship by any means. Do not
You,
add a unicorn
it's
to
it,
fix your
it's
relationship.
Not that there's anything wrong with having one if both sides are open to it, but if you're thinking that bringing somebody in to your relationship is going to actually fix it, and I know you're smiling, it's laughable, but a lot of people think that it will. Like a lot of people truly believe that it will spice things up. Say, hey, come over Tuesday night, let's go, and then after that, things are all of a sudden going to be, the way that you want them to be sexually. So I think that that's just something for you to keep in mind. Thank you for sending in the question. Always appreciate getting those questions at the Spill the Tea Pod, but just don't let that replace something that you're not receiving from somebody else.
Fully agree. And if you feel like this is something that is part of your sexuality, then open the conversation up vulnerably and safely and see what your partner says. And sometimes the answer either will surprise you or will tell you whether or not this relationship is for you or not.
Honestly, thank you so much for sending in your question. We love hearing your questions. Send us a DM at the Spill the Tea Pod on Instagram. You can follow us over there. You know what? If you don't want to miss an episode, and I think after episodes like this one, you damn well don't, make sure you follow us, subscribe, rate us 5 stars so that you'll get notified every time a new episode drops. And well, as I say, every episode, that's a tea.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Spill the Tea. Got a burning question or a scandalous scenario? Slide into our DMs. We're ready to spill it all and maybe stir things up a little. Follow us at the Spill the Tea Pod, at Will Nash on Air, and at Sex Off the Pedestal.